After yet another season that did not go very well for this Virginia's only squad, we saw ourselves finish 3-14. Though we did once again have a great showing at the last game, week 18, with a walk-off touchdown in overtime thanks to Herbert. But that is where this offseason begins, with a lot of work for us to do to try to get this team even close to 500. And at the end of season 2, it is a Seahawks victory in the Super Bowl, their third Super Bowl of their existence, beating the Tennessee Titans 28-17. Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl MVP. You could see the yearly awards over to the right-hand side. The only guy we had in the running for anything was the rookie running back Richards, and he was, I want to say, 5th in that race. In the previous year, it was also the Seahawks that won the Super Bowl 35-7. So the Seahawks are doing pretty well and are the team to beat in the NFC. But as for official offseason things to take care of, first up is re-signing players. And there are some big guys on this list with plenty of space for us to spend money. Tremaine Edmonds, really solid for us. Definitely need to try to lock him down. He has some interest, though we're probably going to have to pay him a little bit extra. Kendall Fuller at 30 years old, still an 87 overall, so that's good. He has a lot of interest. One of our starting safeties in Thornhill has some interest as well. And unfortunately, we really do have to keep Zacchaeus, who's only a 74, but it's still like the third best receiving option we have. Definitely need to lock down Wicks for the future. And a lot of these guys, at least most of them, have some interest. Divine Diablo, not really, but considering he's a 73, I think we'll still be able to come to him in open free agency. Kaiser White is regressing a little bit, but still need to try to bring him back as well. And then there's going to be some other guys. Gino down to a 77. I think it's time to hand the offense over to Willis. Plus, there is a draftable quarterback in this class that could provide either a backup role or competition for the starting spot. Robinson in that final game showed a lot of promise, and he did earn a star dev late on in the season, though it looks like he has regressed down to a normal. So that is unfortunate. And then a lot of these guys down the line have either regressed a lot like Brent Urban, or I just don't have a whole lot of interest in bringing back at this point. So the main ones to focus on are all up top, starting with Tremaine Edmonds. And we're going to offer a 5-year deal worth about 15 mil each season. Will that bring him back? Yes. He loves the deal. We love having him back. As for Kendall Fuller, he has a lot of interest in coming back. He's on the older side, so we should be able to make this deal no problem. And it's perfect. And with the fact that Robinson regressed from that star dev down to a normal, I think we're going to try to stick with Juan Thornhill, as he does have some interest. He would bump up the pay a little bit here, make it 2 years, 4 mil each, and perfect once again. Now, Zacchaeus is definitely in that spot where I think he is going to start to regress, but again, we don't really have a whole lot of other options at the receiver spot. So we will offer a deal, third time perfect, and we just have to hope that that trend continues, as we do have Datavion Wicks, who I think has been one of our better players. And we're definitely going to offer a good contract here. Let's make it 4 years, 5 mil each. I think he should like it, and exactly perfect again. Now, this is the one that's probably going to break that trend, but I'm going to offer a little bit over what at least estimated for Diablo, and he will test. As for Kaiser White, again, would like to bring him back for at least a year, and he will be coming back. And now everyone else, I think we're going to wait to open free agency, see what's out there, and still end up probably bringing back a lot of these guys. Now, as it comes to open free agency, we actually went through that rather quickly, so I just went ahead, went through, offered everyone. There wasn't any contract battles at all, but this is what our free agent class looks like. We brought in Chuck Clark. We don't need a strong safety, but I figured at this point might as well just bring in as good of talent as we can, and just we'll find a spot for him. So we have Chuck Clark. We brought back Joey Sly, who was our kicker season 1. And while he wasn't great, he was a lot better than Johnson, who we did re-sign. You'll see him down the list. We're going to move him back to punter. We did bring back Divine Diablo. Really happy about that. Brought in Yosh Nijman? Maybe? That's how it's pronounced. He's at least going to be one of our best backup offensive lineman or potentially could fight for a starting spot. Moses did not play very good for us last year, so we'll see. We just brought in as good of talent as we can. We did bring back Kenny Robinson Jr. at free safety. Brian Johnson, as previously mentioned, brought back Demario Douglas, brought back Rondell Carter. I don't remember if we've had Tim Ward before. If not, he's new. We did bring in Tyler Heineke to be a backup quarterback. I honestly don't even know if he has a mentor tag. He does. Mentor and a trade target veteran. Interesting. Either way, we brought him in to be a mentor for us. We did bring back Kwiatkowski as well as Dante Stills and Snowden. So a few new guys towards the top, but nothing really dramatic here because we already had some of the best possible players from the Virginias. And before we jump into the draft, I do think it's time to come up with a plan. And to make the plan, we need an update on our potential draftees. So as we take a look here, there, as mentioned earlier on at the top of the episode, there is a quarterback that is draftable in Joshua Webster. Projected round 2 to 3. He's 6'2", 220 out of West Virginia, 22 years old, a scrambler archetype who ran about a mid 4.5, not too bad. For the most part, I mean, very athletic, only has solid throw power, so not fantastic there. In terms of the accuracies, I definitely don't see a starting guy here with C for both medium and short, but does have the B for deep. Only C awareness, so I mean, there's some intriguing bits, but he's definitely not going to be a surprise round 1 for us. But I do think he could provide a little bit of pressure on Willis. We also have 2 mid-round offensive linemen, both left guards out of Virginia, Miles Sloan and Deontay Harden. Now, both of these guys moved up in the draft, which is fantastic for us because that should give us a little bit of some wiggle room. But Miles Sloan is the big riser, round 3 to 4 to actual round 1 to 2. He's 23 years old, 6'5", 321. He actually had a pretty good pro day and combine. Top end speed is a little bit slow, but that's fine. Decent bench reps, 31 to 33, I think could be solid for us, with a lot of athleticism. As for the actual blocking ratings, everything is pretty good besides power. So he's definitely more of a finesse guy with D pass block power and C run block power. Stamina F, I could care less about, but all the other ratings actually look really good. So he could potentially be a day 1 starter. As for Deontay Harden, he goes from that round 3 to 4 up to around 2 to 3, 6'3", 311, 22 years old. He actually has a very similar type of build with very similar strength, a little bit of a faster top end speed, but overall athleticism very comparable. And his skill set, almost, I wouldn't say almost an exact copy. His pass blocking is a bit lower with a C, but his pass block power D and run block power also a C. So those two exactly the same as the other offensive lineman, though his stamina is an A. I don't really think it affects much. Maybe potentially towards the injury rating actually, but either way, I think it would be great to pick up both of these guys if we can make that happen. As for the defensive side, we have a guy here that I very much want to go after in Jamie French, a man-to-man corner with my ideal size. Like, this is my type of corner through and through. 6'3", 200 pounds at 21 years old. He could be a cornerstone for at least the rest of this state-only challenge for however long it does end up going. Good speed at about a 4.4. Decent strength as well, 17 to 19 reps with some good agility, acceleration. I mean, just about everything you need is here. Though F stamina, a little bit concerning, and C injury, definitely a little bit concerning. But having B for all zone coverage, tackling, press, and man coverage plus awareness, that's really good. And I would definitely like to pick up Jamie French. There is also another DB here in the round 1 to 2 in Nazir Reed, listed at free safety, 6'2", 206, 22 years old out of West Virginia. Decent speed, decent strength, all around good athlete. Now, he doesn't have as great of zone coverage, that being a C, but B-man with B awareness and play rec. Not the best block shedder, but decent tackling and hit power. He could potentially flex to a strong safety spot as well. And the fact that he doesn't have great catching, I think I'd maybe even prefer him more so at strong safety. So an option for us at safety, Maybe could even play a little bit of some corner. He is a hybrid archetype. So there are some definite good guys for us to go after in this. And I feel like there's going to be some trades that are going to have to be made. As for the most recent mock draft, we are actually supposed to be picking number 1. And we are not going after a fullback. So ignore that. But with having that number 1 pick, we could potentially drop back and pick up several really good guys for us. Obviously, the corner we would want to go after, maybe even the safety as well. And speaking of the safety, he's slotted to go at pick 18 to the Texans. So if we could drop from early round 1 to maybe mid around 15 or so, might still be able to pick up Nazir Reed, maybe get a number 2 as well. And with that 2, even our true 2 being that first one in the second round, we could get the corner because he's not listed here in mock draft top 32. So potentially we might be able to get some of the best guys possible for us. Definitely expect some trading around to happen. So let's get stuck in and try to see if we can bring in as many of these guys as possible. And as we start the draft, there are a couple trades that I am particularly liking. First is with San Francisco. They're offering their current and then the next 2 years first round picks. The one this year is at spot 13. In addition, we would also pick up the second round from them this year and the 4th. Now, I was thinking the 4th would be really good for those offensive linemen, but I would expect them to go higher. So if that was a 3rd, this would be a lock-in for sure. The other option is with the Buffalo Bills, who again are offering their 1 this year, next year, and the year after, plus a 2 this year. But then it's some late round picks in 2027. So it wouldn't help us really get much from this year. And they're at spot 15. So while technically the Bills, I think, are offering more, I think the better deal for us is with San Francisco, getting a 2 and 4 this year, moving down 13 spots, picking up 2 first rounds for the next 2 seasons. I think that could be really solid for us. So that is the one we are going to go with. And of course, with that massive trade up, we're going to see who the 49ers pick up with the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The San Francisco 49ers select left end Connor Garrison out of Michigan. We'll definitely check him out at the end. But let's skip along to our pick. And first up, I'm thinking we're going to be going after that free safety, considering he was supposed to go around that range. And we have made it back to our pick, and he has not gone yet. So let's just take a look at the board, consider what all of our options are. At free safety, Nazir Reed is the second next guy up. There is one guy who could potentially go before him. At corner, our guy is still a good bit away, so I don't think we have to worry much about Jamie French right now. On the total board, they have Nazir Reed as the 14th best prospect. So potentially, is there any more trading down we could do? Maybe just slightly a few picks? And that would essentially be a no. There was a couple teams that did offer a 2025 first, like the Saints just asking just to switch for no reason. The Seahawks did offer, but it was much later on. And I think there was one other team that did offer a later first round pick, but nothing that's going to help us out make sure we get our guy. So let's actually just make sure we get our guy here. Again, we're just bringing in as many possible good talents that we can. And right now, that best one up for us is going to be at free safety in Nazir Reed. We do pick again with that first pick in the second round. Fingers crossed our guy is still there. So Nazir Reed, we're going to be picking him up. And he's a hidden dev with 90 speed, 87 acceleration, 90 agility, 86 change of direction, and 87 jumping. Strength, nothing's fantastic, but he's a free safety. Maybe a corner, we'll see. Now from here, we're going to start to jump forward, and if I start to see a trend of a lot of corners going potentially, we may look for a trade up just to make sure we pick up our guy. Now the first corner does fall here with the 23rd overall pick, Kendall Callwood out of Iowa, going to the Chargers. Second corner goes a few picks later to the Falcons, Enrique Richardson from South Carolina. At this point, Our guy Jamie French still way down here at 5. We'll give a couple more chances. There is still Joel Pryor, who is a top 5 guy who has not gone yet. And there goes Joel Pryor to the Patriots, the cornerback out of Ole Miss. We are just a few picks away from our pick. I kind of want to risk it, not give up any other picks, at least at this point. So let's go together. The Cardinals go with a receiver, Lawrence out of Notre Dame. The Jaguars go receiver, Glenn out of Washington. Tennessee Titans, the runner up, go left end, Preston out of Texas A&M. And the winners, the Super Bowl back-to-back winners, Seahawks, they end up going with a left tackle, Barrington out of Oklahoma, meaning we are up. No drama here at all. We know exactly where we're going, and that is for our starting corner, who was a round 2 to 3 projection, but a top 5 talent in Jamie French. And if he's not a hidden dev, I give up. And apparently I need to give up. So there we go. A normal dev, a round 2 to 3 projection, but a top 5 talent, and he's a normal dev? That makes no sense. He has 94 speed, 93 acceleration, 91 agility, 95 change of direction, and 90 jumping. We'll see what the ratings are. I feel like we got a little gypped out of something there. At least a star dev. We'll see if he could get that in season. Now, as we've moved along to our second pick in the second round, let's see where we want to go. Obviously, there's that quarterback that we know is supposed to sit in the round 2 to 3. There's also these offensive linemen. And we technically have a starting quarterback with a backup in Heineke. So if I don't want to lose out, at least on a round 1 to 2 talent here in Miles Sloan, it might be a good time to go for it. At quarterback, what all are the options left? So Webster is the next guy up. Again, I would like to bring him in, but I don't think his talent matches the talent that we could get when it comes to the offensive line. So let's take the risk, and with our second round pick, spot 13, I want to go with Miles Sloan. Again, moving up from around 3 to 4 to around 1 to 2. This is the range in which he could be going in, or should be going in, due to his talent. So let's go Sloan, and he's the hidden dev, not the corner, but that does make 2 of 3 so far hidden devs with 87 strength. He has 83 acceleration, 73 agility, 79 jumping if you want your offensive line to jump. We'll see what the ratings are, but he very well could be a starting offensive lineman moving forward with this team. Now, once again, a few picks before ours, Philip Goldstein, that other quarterback, has gone to the Minnesota Vikings. We are trying to do quick math here, about 6 picks away from making our spot. So let's jump forward together here, because I would like to go quarterback next. The Dolphins go with a free safety in Burris. Or receiver Hayes goes to the Patriots. So those two will be playing against each other. A right guard Perryman goes to the Cardinals. Jaguars select tight end Weldon out of Oregon State. Tennessee Titans left outside linebacker Durant from Yale. And then once again, the Seahawks go with a receiver Glover out of Florida. So we can make our pick here. Still no drama up to this point. We've been able to get all of our guys as they've come. And Joshua Webster is the very next best guy to go after here. We could go after the offensive lineman, but I want to make sure we get a potential quarterback to develop. So Joshua Webster, a normal dev, a little bit unfortunate, with 88 throw power. Not bad. With solid throw power, it said. I expected a little bit closer to 83, 84, so that actually not too bad. Does have 83 speed, 86 change of direction with 88 acceleration. All in all, it's at least going to be a good scramble quarterback to develop behind Willis. Now, we do pick again in this round, though it's going to be a little bit later on, the 26th pick. So we'll move along to that spot, and with that spot, I think I would like to go after the other offensive lineman. But unfortunately, for the first time, we're not going to be getting our guy. Deontay Harden does end up going to the Bengals in the 3rd round, spot 10. So we won't be getting him, but we at least got one of our guys. So as we jump to our 26th pick in the 3rd round, what do we have left? a lot of potential undrafteds, and some day 3 talent in a middle linebacker who has some good coverage ratings, but the block shedding could be at max a C, so not fantastic. Plus, he doesn't have good pursuit. And then another corner. So nothing in particular I feel like we need to go after in this class, so I feel like I would rather push some of these picks on for future seasons. So trying to put together a package here for a 3rd round, a 4th round, a 5th round, and a 7th round pick, all for this class. Just want to see what other people are offering, and unfortunately it looks like there are going to be players coming in on these. Wish there was a way for us to be like, yeah, give us picks. That would be nice, because obviously we can't trade for most of these guys because they're not actually from any of the available schools that we could use. And it looks like the Ravens actually don't have a lot of picks left in this one, so let's put together a trade here. Now we're giving up a 3, 4, 5, and a 7. So how about we ask for a future 2, and then in the season after that, a 5. I feel like that could be a fair offer here. So let's submit it, see what the Ravens think, and they like it, so we'll do that. Now I did still keep a couple picks. We have 2 4s and a 6 left. Do I think any of these guys are worth it? But I do want to lock in some decent talent before someone else might pick them up. So Stephen Parsons, 6'3", 233 is that middle linebacker who's the pass cover guy. Not extremely fast, does at least have some good quickness, some agility to his game. Definitely some work in progress, but at least has B zone. So we'll bring in Parsons. A normal dev with 83 speed actually is not too bad. 90 acceleration, pretty good, with 85 agility, 71 change of direction, and 72 jumping. Strength isn't a strength. And with our later 4th, I feel like we're going to go after the cornerback here in Adonis Monroe. 5'11", 183 is a zone archetype with tremendous speed. I mean, a really good athlete, though not very strong. And surprisingly, the 20-yard shuttle isn't very good, with everything else actually being fairly decent. So an interesting athlete. With B zone coverage, a little bit of some press, needs to work on the man, does have A block shedding with B tackling, so potentially might even be another safety. Might be a little bit of a hybrid for us. We'll see where we can put him, but for now, we're going to pick him up. He's a normal dev with 93 speed, 81 jumping, 85 change of direction, 86 agility, and 92 excel. And with our last pick here, the 1st in the 6th round, we have quite a lot of undrafted talent here. We could try to maybe see if someone ends up being good. Now, we have a lot of really young, not even really young, just a lot of low talent along the defensive line. So a guy like Marcus Phillips could be interesting with that B power moves. But also at the same time, I'm also kind of interested in George Davenport, though I would expect he would go unclaimed actually after this draft, and we should be able to pick him up as a free agent or undrafted free agent. So I think I want to focus primarily on the defensive line, a spot that we need as much help as possible at. So Marcus Phillips is 6'4", 270, 23 years old, out of Liberty. He actually has some decent speed to him. Strength isn't fantastic, but he's very much an athlete with the skills that aren't fantastic. B tackle, B power, good with that. Has the potential of up to C for the block shedding, though finesse is an F. Same as play rec and C awareness. So I don't expect him to be a surprisingly good player with starting caliber, but maybe could get into the rotation. So we're going to pick up Phillips, who's a normal dev with 83 strength, 76 speed, and 82 acceleration. And he is our final pick. But now it's time to see if we at least hit big with our early rounds. And if even the quarterback ended up being good too, I think that could be really solid for us. So let's check out what these draftees look like. And it's not too bad in the top 3. After that, honestly, not too bad either. But let's go from the top with Nazir Reed. A 75 with a coaching boost, hidden dev. He could very well step in, as Thornhill is on the older side as well. And he's coming in with 90 speed, 74 zone coverage with 73 tackling and 72 man, 81 hit power. I mean, he definitely could play a strong safety spot. Block shedding is a bit lower, so actually probably would be better a little bit further back, but That looks really good. Injury is pretty good as well. Catching could be better, but he has conservative play ball tendency, so it's not like he's going for picks all too often. But altogether, I think Nazir Reed could be a really solid player for us at safety, so that is a major find. Next up is the corner that is not a hidden dev in Jamie French, but he is a 78 to start off the bat. Again, built exactly how I like my corners. Would like a little bit more press here. That's a 72, but 94 speed with 78 man, 77 zone. He's well balanced. 63 tackle to 75 play rec. Catching is a 74, good jumping. What's his awareness? A 70 with a little bit of a boost. I'm seeing, and his injury actually isn't as bad as I imagined it could have been. That's an 87 with a little bit of a boost as well. But I imagine he could very well play in the slot here for us. He does have a high motor and conservative play ball tendency once again. So he might be forcing one of the Fuller brothers out of the starting lineup. We'll see. But again, that's a great find. If only he was at least a star dev. As for the offensive lineman in Miles Sloan, he is a 77 with a lot of coaching boosts going his way. That's where we've really developed our offensive coordinator because we need as much help there as possible. But he's another hidden dev here for us and could very well start on the outside, actually as a tackle, and could take over that spot of Moses. Need to work on the pass block power. It's a little bit of a weakness for sure, but the finesse is at a decent spot. Lead block is also really good, and impact block is good. So, I mean, maybe we do keep him at a guard. We might move around the offensive line a little bit here with the addition of Sloan, because he's a talent that in the running game with the lead block and impact block could be really good for us. Plus his run blocking ratings, the power and finesse are actually pretty good as well. So all around, I think this is a great pick for us. Now, past those threes where the overalls dip below 70, but altogether they're not too bad. The quarterback in Joshua Webster is 66, normal dev, so he's definitely not going to be pushing for that starting spot. But he actually has some decent ratings, 77 for short and deep. While the short accuracy was a C and deep was a B, they're actually the same rating. It's also the same as throw under pressure, which I feel like was an A, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of those ratings all over the place, but all in all, I think this could be a solid guy to develop and definitely apply some pressure to Willis. Behind him, these last three were guys we just took a shot on with our last remaining picks, and Stephen Parsons, not sure which, is a 64 normal dev. Again, I think is going to be some decent potential for us, some guys to try to develop, especially with a lot of our backups at the linebacker spot aging. He's coming in with 83 speed, 81 tackle is not bad, 90 acceleration, great, 81 hit power, solid. Need to work on the block shedding, the awareness and the play rec. Zone isn't awful to start off with. All in all, I think he'll be a solid developmental guy. And a little bit of a surprise is Adonis Monroe, who's actually fairly decent overall, 69, though again, not having any development might slow down his ascent. And yeah, definitely looking a little bit more free safety like, with the zone being 12 points higher than man and him not having a strong press. Tackle rating I think would be fine for a free safety. Catching is a little bit low. Acceleration though and speed really good. Agility is good. Injury, it's fantastic. It's a 99. So he definitely could be a guy that we could play at a free safety spot or try to develop in the slot. He does have strip ball as a trait, so that in the slot could be nice. We'll play around with him. He might be a hybrid. And lastly, we needed help along the defensive line, so we went with Marcus Phillips, and he's not super highly rated with the +2 from the coaches is a 65 normal dev, but he does have some power moves. Wish the block shedding was a little bit closer to a 70. If it was, he could find his way into the starting lineup, but right now looks very similar to the edge rusher we picked up late on last year as well. So we'll see where he ends up slotting in, and potentially we may end up switching this defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4. We'll see how well that fits with the guys we have, and just trying to get the best guys out there as possible. But before we move forward and take a look at next year's draft class, we got to take a look at San Francisco, who traded up massively to bring in a left end in Connor Garrison, who is at least a hidden dev, though only a 75 overall. feel like that's a lot to give up for a 75, though he's a very well-balanced end. 77 power moves, 75 block shedding with 73 finesse, has good speed, pretty decent strength as well. How's his injury? 98, fantastic for him, with pretty decent tackling, good awareness. I mean, all in all, he's definitely a day one starter. So they gave up a lot, but potentially they could get a lot in return. Now, I also had to check the Bengals here for Deontay Harden, a guy we were looking for, and he is a hidden dev. With a coach's boost is a 73, so it would have been great to pick up both of these guys. He's definitely the lesser of the two, so we got the better in Sloan. Harden could potentially have been a development guy for a year and then maybe stepped in. Maybe would even work him more so as a tackle, considering the run block power is a little bit lower and the run block versus pass block fairly even. I feel like he might have been a better right tackle. I don't know. Doesn't really matter because we don't have him. But I will say that was a pretty successful draft. Now I'm going to get through the preseason and then we're going to take a look at what this next draft class has in store for us. And as we look to wrap this episode up, just two more things we need to take a look at. And the first will be what this next draft class looks like. Now, I did take a look and it's not too promising because the best players, well, there are some good ones, are in spots where we already have some of our better players. Like on the offense where there is Oscar Pickens, a running back out of Virginia Tech, around 1 to 2. We already have two good running backs plus a couple other guys down the line who've been able to help out a little bit. There's really no starting talent along the offensive line nor the defensive line, no linebackers. However, there are some more safeties in round 1 or round 2 to 3. So this is an interesting draft class, and while we still end up picking up some of these guys, we'll see. Maybe safeties if they actually look like they might be more corners, because a lot of our starting corners are getting on the older side. I don't know. It's going to be a weird draft class. We'll see what we do. I very much feel like we're going to need some more offensive line help, and considering we now have some nice picks stockpiled, we might be trading for an offensive lineman at some point. But interesting draft class to say the least. But lastly, this is what our offense looks like as we move on to Season 3. Willis will be getting the start at quarterback with Webster behind him, and then Heineke acting semi as a coach essentially at this point. We're going to have Herbert and Richards, who did regress down to a star dev, unfortunately, despite being in the running for Rookie of the Year. He regresses. So those two will, once again, try to level out their play to where each of them are getting around 10 or so carries a game. Wicks is still going to be starting on the outside on the opposite side of Pascal, with Zacchaeus in the slot. After Zacchaeus in the slot, we're going to see some of Reed and Douglas. As for the offensive line, pretty much 4 of the 5 starters from last year have returned as starters. The other starter who's not going to be playing, because he did stay with the team, is Sorsdahl, and I don't think he had a bad year. So he's actually in the running at center to take over for the aging Glowinski. We'll see how those two play, and if Glowinski struggles, we can make a switch. We have several different guys. We have some good offensive line depth. So even if some injuries do happen, I think we'll be okay. And if we see some bad play from Moses like we did last year, we can make a change. We have that depth now. At tight end, Jelani Woods continuing on starting there, with Keene taking over tight end 2, and then Kuntz, I believe it's pronounced, taking over tight end 3. Over on the defensive side, not a whole lot changing here once again. The defensive line about the same, and we're going to stick with Stills just as the full-time left end, whether it's rush down or a run down. I think he gives us some better skill moves than what we had in Barno. Despite Barno having really good speed, we just haven't seen much from him. Bush will continue being the backup there, and then the draftee Phillips will actually be second over at right end. Kendall Fuller continuing to start on the outside, as well as Rasul Douglas, who will stay there permanently now. He did play slot for us in the previous years. We are going to have the rookie and Jamie French get the start at slot. At safety, we are going to be starting Nazir Reed over Thornhill, who very well could potentially be used in maybe a trade for an offensive lineman that we mentioned earlier, plus maybe some picks we'll see what we have to do there. But definitely going to go with the hidden dev rookie. Linebackers stay the same, though Diablo will be one of the 2 linebackers out in the nickel, teaming up with Edmonds, as White has gotten a little bit older and has started to regress. Going to focus a little bit more on the younger guys. We have Fields backing up across the board, and then Parsons, the guy that we just drafted. Strong safety, Edmonds sticking there. He was pretty good for us last year. We'll have Chuck Clark behind him, and then Robinson also there. So we have all the talent we need at safety. We just need this team to really just come through for us. Sly back at kicker, and we demote Johnson to punter. Now, in between this episode and the next episode, I might tweak the playbook a little bit, mostly the play calling. We definitely need to stick with more shorter throws, as Willis doesn't have great deep and medium throw accuracy. It's primarily the short. So we'll try to keep things quick, get the ball out, and just see if all the athletic guys we have on this team can really move us down the field. So we'll see how well they're able to do. It was definitely a really good draft for us. If only we could have hit on getting that other offensive lineman, then I think it would have been the perfect draft for us. But either way, I think it was a pretty good draft for us. Let me know what you think down below, but definitely make sure you hit that bell icon in the bottom right, or scroll down, hit the subscription button, and definitely tick that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. This series posted every single Wednesday and Saturday. On Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have the Rams traditional franchise that potentially might be changing come tomorrow. We'll have to see how you guys voted on it, if we're going to stick with the 1 episode or 1 game per episode, or add some more. The votes have been very close, so if you haven't voted yet, definitely go do that. It's on the community tab, but that will round out this video. So until next time, where we start season 3 of the Virginia's State Only Challenge, or States Only Challenge, I'll see you guys then. Bye.